Welcome to Design Your Kitchen for Everyday Living webinar, and I am your host, Julie Fergus. I am a home interior designer designing beautiful, functional homes for busy homeowners that want to improve their homes to improve their lives. Because I believe if you invest in your home, you invest in your life, and a great place to start is with your kitchen. The kitchen is the heart of the home. So let's get some ideas for designing your kitchen for your everyday living. The goal of my webinar is to give you some inspiration on to do something different and maybe a little innovative, give you some alternative design solutions to maximize your space. Everyone is tight on space, and I'm going to give you some ideas on how you can improve the space that you already have and give you ideas to increase your storage. In simple terms, a kitchen is a place to cook and store food, and we know it's way more than that. It's the heart of the home. So many things happen there. We spend time with our family, friends, we cook, we entertain, do paperwork, all kinds of things. So it's a great place to start to improve your home, to improve your life. If your kitchen isn't working well, let's get some ideas on how to improve it. This is showing you the basic simple kitchen. This is essentially what it is. It's a place where it has heat, so you can cook food, store utensils, a work area, a place to sit and eat and gather. This is showing you the basic way and the early days on how kitchens evolved. And we know we want more than this in our kitchens today. But you can cook, you make bread, you can cook fabulous meals with the bare bones basics. No fancy cabinetry, open shelves, and you can still cook a great meal. But in today's modern time, we do like some more simple things other than these basic kitchens which show furniture pieces for storage and for work tables, which are still great solutions and ideas to incorporate into today's kitchens, but this is showing that you can cook a meal in a space that doesn't have all those bells and whistles. So think of going back to the basics from the very simple and then expanding on that for today's needs. So you want to start with determining your needs and your functions. What are your requirements? Your storage needs. Do you buy food every day, once a month, once a week? What are your appliances? Do gas, electric, microwave, freezer, standalone, and combined appliances? And some people have special needs for those appliances. And what's your style? Do you like it sleek and modern, country, casual? So those are going to be your requirements. So get those in order and written down or in your mind, clippings, so that you can be on your way for your kitchen design. And my tip is always to get rid of anything you don't use, because there's no sense in building cabinetry or finding space for things that you don't really need on an almost everyday basis. So let's determine your functional needs. With the basics of design, there's some functions that you can accomplish with basics, more elaborate designs, but if you know what your functions, then your functional needs are, then you can look at these kitchen layout basics and see which one works for you. The common layouts are a galley kitchen, and this is, you might find in smaller places, apartments, and it's great for one-person kitchens, not great for if you have multiple cooks or big family, because you are a little more limited because you have 2 rows of cabinetry and workspaces, so it doesn't typically add for a lot of circulation. So the galley kitchen is great if you have a really tight or small space. A really common layout is an L shape with an island. So here is an L shape with the center island with seating. You have the stove, sink, refrigerator, and that's a very common layout and very functional. This is a U shape. You have refrigerator, stove, sink, and a center table / island, whatever your space requirements might need. So those are the 3 basic shapes. Then you have special shapes, because sometimes you don't have the ideal space to get a galley, an L shape with an island, or a U shape. So sometimes we have to come up with special shapes, and that's what this is, which I'm going to show you that in a little more detail. But let's look at some of my project examples so you can get inspired to create your everyday kitchen. And these are examples of gaining more space without adding on. This is showing a space here where you entered into the home and you walked right through the work triangle, which was a galley kitchen. And that is a very serious no-no. And you hear my dogs barking, and that's life with dogs. So we wanted to get the workflow out of the kitchen. So what we did is I developed 4 different ideas on how we can get the traffic to go out of the kitchen with a U shape, an L shape with a funky island, a one-sided kitchen with a bigger island, so all the workflow traffic flow would go away from that. Or we looked at moving the kitchen. But what we ultimately did is we created a U shape without an island, and we redirected the traffic flow out of the kitchen area. So look, if you have that as a challenge where people are walking through your workspace, if you redirect your layout, you can change the traffic flow. So explore different ways on how you might be able to block and redirect traffic flow so you can make your kitchen workspace more functional. This is a great example of a small kitchen in an older home where you can see there's a small L shape here and a separate dining area, one doorway. And since we couldn't relocate all the doorways, I created an L shape here. We essentially kept everything where it was. We made a bigger opening, reoriented the table, and created a bank of cabinetry here for an under-counter fridge, a sink, and more storage. So what that did is it took some heat off of the kitchen, able to put the coffee maker over there, and beverages for entertaining, so it's out of the main work triangle. And it made the dining area more open to the kitchen and more functional. You got more storage, so we're able to increase storage without adding on or having to alter the kitchen too much, essentially. So the photos of that space before, you can see there was just a doorway, and the kitchen was here and the dining area here, very divided. So we opened it up, even created another opening here. You could see the cabinets. So now it's one open space. People can be over on this side away from the work area. The dining area space had one window. We incorporated more windows so it overlooks to the 3-season room here. And the bank of cabinetry with the sink, the under-counter fridge, the coffee maker, and a whole bunch more storage for more serving pieces, some overflow food storage. So it was a way to increase the kitchen storage capacity without adding on, and we reworked space that they already had. So think of how you can rework your dining area, because those are often underutilized. Instead of the china cabinet, which seems to not be so popular today, consider some cabinetry with a counter space that is more functional for everyday living. So this is a great solution for that. Maximizing your vertical space, especially over the refrigerator, is key, because oftentimes you'll see people that have boxes and clutter and things above the refrigerator, and it's just not very efficient, and it can also look a little disorganized. So I like to incorporate storage above the refrigerator to the ceiling, bring it out to the front of the refrigerator so that things aren't piled in front of it. And this is a great place to store larger non-everyday items, maybe like the lobster pot or the crock pot, some big serving pieces. So they're up there. You would have to get onto a stool or a step stool, but it's in a tidy away place, and it is much more simple looking. Another shot of this great kitchen dining makeover where you can see, look at all that space we got, or space we maximized. And this was totally underutilized before. So now it is just an extension of the kitchen, didn't take away anything from the dining room. It made it more inviting and more open. So again, just want to repeat that if you look at your dining areas or your dining rooms, you can maximize some underutilized space and make it more of an everyday space. This is showing a U-shaped kitchen, and we turned it into an L with an island. Everybody has different opinions and needs. This homeowner liked the idea of the cooktop in the island. It was more interactive, and it was mainly a retired couple here most of the time, so the 2 seats worked out great. And you can see that we didn't lose any storage. We essentially just reworked the space and made it more inviting, more open, and much more modern. They wanted a more modern look. So let's go to the plan, which I have here, showing the U shape. The dining area was here. But when we created this island, we were able to open a nice traffic flow into the dining area. So it made the connection between the dining area and the kitchen much more inviting and easier flow between the 2 spaces. So sometimes if you think of breaking a U shape and creating an island, you can have a better connection to the space adjacent to it. I love this kitchen. This is also in an older home, and we couldn't add on, and we didn't want to move windows and things like that. So stove was here, ended up putting the stove here, simplified the refrigerator, and I'm going to show you how we maximize this space here. It was a small island piece here with a separate dining table, and I made a large island here so people can sit on this. It's a big workspace. It's a wonderful way to change the kitchen. So this is showing you when we took the, again, this is dead space above a refrigerator, which you'll see in a lot of places, a lot of homes, and bringing the cabinetry to the ceiling above it and adjacent. It gives you some vertical interest. It maximizes all that space above the refrigerator. So think of how that space above your refrigerator might be underutilized, and building something to the ceiling to be able to put some good amount of storage up there without it looking messy. So this is showing you how we moved the stove to the other side, but the key was we have a nice counter area next to the refrigerator, which we didn't have in this before picture. And this is a shot of the island, so it's a nice work area here, and people are sitting on the outside out of the way. What we had over here before was a dining area, which I don't show the before picture, but this is a good example of how we maximize. This comes out about 13 inches to the ceiling. That is a lot of storage. You have mixers, binders, food, all kinds of things. This is a broom closet over here. So floor to ceiling storage, and you can fit a lot of items and storage needs in a small amount of space. So you can see it down here on the plan. This is not a big kitchen. You can see 10'7", and this was 14 feet. Overall, that is not a big space, but it is really efficient now with this L and this peninsula island that's attached to the wall, which is just a dynamite space. It's a great work area. You have a seating, a dining place, and you're not everyday stuff. Well, it might be everyday stuff, but it's not right here in the work area. So you go over and get what you need, and you come back for your pantry storage. So really maximize this space. This is a great makeover, and you can see the ceiling we did red, so we got a little bit of punch of color in there. We kept some other things neutral, so maybe if you just want to jazz up your kitchen, you paint the ceiling a color. Love this before and after. This was a big, vast space, and we actually took space away from this. You'll see this is the same door that goes out to the garage. That's their everyday entry, and we created a mudroom here. So we actually shortened up this space, and this was a U layout, and we created an L with a 2-level island with a contrasting island to the cabinetry, and just a dynamite before and after of this. And I love that we got to use some color here. And this is showing the layout. This was the kitchen, this big empty space, and we created this L with this island, this 2-tier islands, and we were able to create a mudroom, which I'm showing you here. So instead of coming in and there was no place to put the stuff, you come in, your everyday entry, and now everything goes into the mudroom. And then you have a great kitchen, which is still ample storage and space. And we brought the dining area right here, used to be over here. So that was one thing that we flipped. So again, another example of how we don't have to add on. Just look at reworking the space that you have, and you can make it so much better for the most part. I love this one. This was real simple. We took away from the space This had cabinetry up here. We took that out, opened it up to this area here. Had a goofy corner sink here, which that just must have been dreadful. Put a sink over here. We skirted it. We put some bed posts, or could even be a newel post, to give it a little country flair to it. And we changed the hardware. We changed the countertops. We kept the flooring there. We brought a drop leaf table. We took some doors off, some baskets. So this was a really inexpensive makeover, but it changed the look, changed the energy, made it more vibrant and open to the space next door, to the dining area here. So just think of how maybe taking a few things out of the space and investing in new counter or sink, updating a few things, how it can really transform your space. Love this one. This is in a condo. We had that typical 80s builder grade, and we went a little bit more modern with a shaker style. We couldn't change the layout here because of the condo, but we have the sink, have a the dishwasher here, and instead of an L shape, you can see, we created a U. This was a shallow depth here, but what that did is it gave a nice wraparound workspace, microwave below. We added this storage here, so we increased the storage. We took the dining table out and we have it in the open dining area. But this is a great example of how just making a shallow space on one side, we were able to create a U from an L, and it made it so much more functional. Showing that before shot, sometimes you have to, if you really want to maximize space, this is a 24-inch refrigerator, and it is a little pricey, but doing this allowed us to get this pantry cabinet next to it. So sometimes there's a compromise in that where you might spend a little bit more on one thing to get another solution, so think about that. This homeowner loves open cabinetry for the casual look and easy access. It's not for everybody because it can tend to get dusty or greasy, so you got to have good exhaust in your kitchen, or maybe you don't cook that much. But it's a nice break from having all cabinetry to having some open storage. So again, we maximize this space by a nice tall storage area here, creating a U shape where it was an L before, so we have a lot more storage. And that might be a possibility in your kitchen. This is showing, this was also in a condo, so we couldn't move a lot of things. The stove and microwave are in the same spot. The sink is in the same spot. We removed the refrigerator here, and we eliminated a whole wall. And the whole point of that was to open the kitchen up to the rest of the space. This was a U with a solid wall here. We made an L with an island. Let's go to the next shot. This is showing the solid wall that we ended up moving. We took it away. So this kitchen their storage did get minimized a bit, but they gained this open space. So what's your compromise? If you want more open space, sometimes you might have to lose some storage or look at where you can store those things someplace else so that you still have capacity, but it's not right in your everyday kitchen. So this is a great example of you can modernize the look. You're taking some things away, but you're gaining so much more visually and then with the flow of the space. So we love this makeover. We did expand the kitchen in this project. It was a small galley kitchen. There was no dining area, so we had to expand the kitchen on two sides, and then that allowed us to create this central island which you can seat 8 at, 2 on each side. So this is a great solution to get them a dining area and improved and increased kitchen, which they did not have before. So sometimes you do have to add on if your space just doesn't allow. But in the previous examples, you see that you don't always have to, and you can make it great. Sometimes we move the kitchen. I even did it in my own home. It's where the kitchen was, it's sometimes just not ideal. So let's look at an example. Here is an example where we have a lake view here. We have this kitchen facing the road and essentially a doorway with this U-shape. It just had no connection at all to the living space. So we brought it down to the lakeside. We did an L with an island, created a dining area, made a pantry. So when you're going to do a major remodel, sometimes moving the kitchen isn't really that much more because you're you're spending so much on a grand scale that just moving appliances and plumbing and electrical is going to be done anyway, so that if you relocate the kitchen, you might just get so much more bang for your buck. So this is showing it before. It was this harvest gold and knotty pine U-shaped tucked away kitchen, and then we brought it out to the open space. So you can see it was a no-brainer. It totally changing the whole space, and having the kitchen here, I mean, it's the center of the action, the home, everything. And the way, you know, we have computers and our electronics, we hang out in the kitchen watching TV, so it's just so great to be able to have it all open. What we did here, we have some open boxes. I call them boxes, and it just has all your, this is for someone who's a real serious cook and got all that stuff right there at your fingertips. We didn't have any other wall cabinets here. We did most of the storage down below and in the pantry. And in this example, the space above the refrigerator is essentially an open box, and it has some pretty platters and some color there so that it wasn't all closed off. So it doesn't, the space above the refrigerator doesn't always have to be closed. It can be a nice colorful accent. An example of kitchen was over here on the north side. It was dark, never really got a lot of light, so we brought the kitchen over here. The sun rises. It's a great place in the morning. Got the sun coming in, so when you're there before work or on weekends, you're enjoying the sun in the morning. And the space that was the kitchen was brought into a family room. This is a wood cook stove here. So it was a much better flow to flip these spaces to get as much, you know, more sunlight into the space. So again, when you're planning a big major remodel, sometimes moving the kitchen is a really wise idea. And this is showing that kitchen before, after. So we have a lot of windows all around, tons of light coming in, and we minimized the upper cabinetry so that we could have more windows on that. And that is something to consider. Have less wall cabinets so you can have more windows. This is more of a country style kitchen, so you can see where we have some furniture pieces instead of cabinetry, open shelf for cookbooks and things. Another thing I like to incorporate is a microwave, you know, a real place for it. A lot of times it works out underneath the counter because people don't use the microwaves that much, so it's out of the way. It's here under the counter. My favorite spot is under the counter, not necessarily above the stove, because I just think it's too much action if you're using the microwave and the stove at one time. So consider getting your microwave off the counter into a designated spot. So some other ideas. Keep your pots and pans handy. I like this where they're just on hooks, not necessarily an official pot rack. These are pots and pans that are used every day, so make them handy, and they're easy to get to instead of digging into a cabinet. We got a shelf here, really simple. We got some brackets, much more country look, but you get the idea here. And it keeps things handy. It's just as simple as hooks. And it's nice if you can get some flexibility to change some color or even paint your cabinets. This started off as green, now it's black. So if you're a person who likes to change things, look at some things and finishes that you can paint yourself so that you can tackle it without it being a major project. So it gives you some flexibility to change the look without it being a major project. And I like to show this because we started off with the wall colors all one, and then we created this black area here as a vertical element. So, you know, with paint, you can change things a little more often than if it's a real fixed tile backsplash. So that's a quick idea. And then sometimes all you need to do is change the colors to brighten your mood or have the kitchen reflect your style. You can see this kitchen here was just so boring, bland, and then when a colorful artist moved in, and not that she is a big cook, but she wanted color. So all we did was paint the cabinetry, painted the ceiling, she changed the countertops and the backsplash, and it's done. It's not even a major project, but it suits her personality, and sometimes you might just have to change the colors to have your kitchen suit your personality. And you have to have seating in the kitchen, because if you have a seat, people will be out of your way. So have seats. We have some stools here. You can see an adjacent table, stools, comfy chairs with backs. So people will more likely to stay out of your space, out of your way if you're cooking, and in a nice comfy seat. If you have a space adjacent to your kitchen that you're not necessarily sure how to use, now this is adjacent to the colorful kitchen, and it was a dining area before, and I relocated the dining area to another area and created a really comfy seating area here. We did a window seat, we have a table, and we have comfy chairs, so you could have a casual meal here. This could be your everyday dining space. This is for a retired couple. So, but the point is, instead of a formal dining area or table here, we've made this a cool, relaxing, colorful space. The kitchen is over here. So if you're entertaining, you can be cooking in the kitchen, and your friends and your family can be sitting in this comfortable space out of your work area. So look at those adjacent spaces to your kitchen on how you can improve them and make them a comfortable place for people to sit without being in your kitchen. So some storage ideas. I like to maximize the cabinet interiors on my projects. Sometimes we have these blind corners, and these rollouts are great. They tuck back into the corner, and you open the door and you have these shelves for some smaller items. So we're utilizing this dead corner for storage. I always advocate for having the double pull-out trash, one for recycling, one for regular trash. It's just so easy. Having a trash can hanging out on the floor is just not attractive, and it's kind of like an afterthought. So plan for that. You can even retrofit cabinetry that you have. They make pull-outs. You can get them at Lowe's, Home Depot, Rev-A-Shelf online. You can retrofit your cabinet to have a pull-out trash. But if we're doing cabinetry from scratch on a kitchen project, we will incorporate the pull-outs. Spices, these spice racks on the inside of cabinets are great because it keeps those things nice and neat and easy to get to, instead of on a shelf that you have to dig into and just open the door and you have all that great access there. Another corner is the Lazy Susan, and I like to get them with this rail on them, so when you spin it, stuff isn't flying off of them. So that's a really good, maximize your corners. And love the tall pantries with all the rollouts, because you can put big things in there and get to it. You're not digging into the back. You're pulling the whole rack forward. So that is that's one of the bells and whistles that I think you really get what you pay for with that. And this is showing those corner drawers. Some people love those. And we did that on a project, and you can really fill up that whole corner with storage. So that's a really cool solution. And here we have a pantry closet, and what we did is we just put the rollout inserts into them, and we turned a closet into a pantry that's easy to get to. So if you have a pantry closet, you can go to Lowe's or Home Depot and look for those rollout inserts and things, and make it real efficient instead of it just being shelves, which isn't as easy to access things. So retrofitting what you have. I love drawers for everything. You can see this homeowner did all the racks for their spices, and you can see it's right next to the stove. So you can get those things at the kitchen container stores and all that. Big drawers for pots. We have that. Have the stove here, so we did a big drawer here for most of the everyday pots and pans here. You can use drawers for dishes. Love that. When you don't have a lot of upper cabinetry, the drawers are easy, and we have the full extension heavy-duty drawers. It's good to do that, and showing for all your baking stuff. So if you're at the island here, in this case, all of our baking things are right there. So instead of having the upper cabinets, just think of how you can have more drawers for everything. Now here's some examples from magazines. You have people coming and going through your kitchen. So have a designated space, some hooks and a bench, so you're keeping that clutter and that stuff out of your kitchen area. So it can be real simple. And I mentioned this before, the microwave, putting it down below, above the stove, not my favorite, and I think it gets crowded with the stove top, but at least it's not on the counter. And this one is in a cabinet above the counter. So anything that keeps it off the counter is a good solution. I like these because they're showing you the cabinets up to the ceiling. The cabinets that don't go to the ceiling are just collectors of dust and weird stuff. So if it goes to the ceiling, it looks neater, and you might not use those things on the top shelves every day, but at least it's up there. You have a place for it. And in this example, you can see they've actually put frosted glass, so that might be some weird, ugly stuff up there, but at least it's up there. You might have a crock pot or lobster pot, things you don't use every day, but you have a place for it. It's right there, and you've used all that vertical space to the ceiling. The refrigerator, instead of it being free-floating in the space, think about even if there's a bookcase to the side of it, building all around it so that it looks like a built-in fridge, and without the built-in fridge price, it makes the refrigerator look smaller instead of it being free-floating. Now here's an idea with furniture pieces, mixing the old and the new. I like the country mix of this well-worn wood piece next to the professional range. There's no upper cabinetry. There's just some pretty country accent, so you can do that. This, again, this is saying that this is the free-floating refrigerator, but it doesn't look as bad when you put pretty ironstone on top instead of cereal boxes. So, maybe you can do a collection above your refrigerator, but, you can mix old and new, and it's a nice balance. Showing the stainless steel table with the more country accent. A stainless steel table in the center is great. And there you go. You have an instant island, and it's not a huge project. It gives you some flexibility that way. And, if you don't want to do an island, just have a table and some chairs right in the middle of the kitchen, I think is great. You can use it as a work table. You can do some color. You can see they painted the chairs red. It can be a work table. You can sit there. You can dine there. And you can change it if you don't like it in a few years to something else. So it doesn't have to be a big commitment, and it's a great way to maximize your space in the kitchen. I like this one because they are showing a more formal Chippendale style dining set in the kitchen. I think it really conveys that I like a more elegant style, but I want it in my everyday space. So I see those. You can see these on Craigslist all the time. People don't really want mahogany sets anymore. You can even buy one of those and paint it a funky red or green or whatever color, and now you've created a unique dining set within your kitchen. So it doesn't have to be a mainstream country piece in your kitchen. If you like something a little more elegant, think of that. I think that's a great contrast. So the new kitchen, step by step, you got to figure out what you're going to add or eliminate, and you got to make the most of the vertical space, and think about mixing cabinets and furniture together. And without a doubt, keeping it simple is more successful, because if you have less, it looks better instead of too much is visually unappealing. Allow for some flexibility, and that way you can make your style changes and make it fun and interesting. Maybe it's a red ceiling or a purple ceiling, whatever suits you. It's paint. It doesn't have to be really serious space. It can have some whimsy, so break out of ordinary, because you really want the kitchen to be a place where you can be with people, gather with people you love, and that's really the point of the kitchen. You want it to be a place that reflects your style, and it's a place that you enjoy being. So improve your home to improve your life, and life will be more fun if your home is organized and suits your personality. So I hope you enjoyed today's Kitchen Design for Everyday Living webinar, and that's me and my bulldog. And you can connect with me on all the social media out there and through my website. I do a monthly e-newsletter. I do YouTube videos, and I've been doing webinars for years, so we're doing them this format to connect with people all around. So I look forward to hearing from you, connecting with you, and I hope that you come up with a great new kitchen. And if you have any before and afters or any ideas you've used from this webinar, please email me and send me some before and afters, and I'd love to share your story. So thanks again. I'm Julie Fergus, and you can find me at juliefergus.com. Thank you.